Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Brett365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network, live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode in which we review the Faves 5 picks we put into the contest, dissect why we left some games out, and we'll preview the early lines we already like for Week 7. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon. Is Simon on mute?
I'm ready. I'm here. What's up, buddy?
Dude, that was a decidedly unchalky move on a day when chalk was having its way in every single way. And that was the baseline of a comment that you made to me this morning that helped us keep some games in and allowed us to get to a 2-2 day. We are 500 right now, 2-2, like I said. We have the Jets plus 2.5 remaining. The games we won handily. The games we lost, we were kind of in, but not really. Mostly, I thought this conversation we had before our final picks this morning that led us all the way around the league and back again was really fun. The whole day was interesting. We are going to review what we missed. We're going to break it all down. If you believe you could beat our picks this season, be our guest and let us pay you $40,000. Sign up at favorites.actionnetwork.com for the contest. Catch every episode of The Favorites live on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, The Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now new Bet365 customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code favorites, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right. So a couple things, trends we were paying attention to. The public had been having a terrible year. And then today, the public was on Houston. The public won. The public was on Detroit. The public won. The public was on, who am I missing? Tampa Bay. The public won. That's number one. Number two, we've been tracking the NFL underdogs of 6+ points or more. They had been 16-2-1 against the spread this season. After today, that is no longer the case. The Panthers did not cover as 6+ point favorites. The Commanders pushed as 6+ point underdogs. I mean, the Panthers were dogs too. The Browns covered. So not a great day if you were a 6+ point dog. It's in line with the chalkiness of the day. We're going to run through these games. First one up, Arizona, Green Bay. We had Green Bay 5.5. Loved it all week. I really loved it all week. I believe you came around to my thinking. I might have bullied you into it. And it went exactly as we expected, Simon. Exactly.
Yeah, Kyler didn't show up. And that was really our preference about the whole reason for betting. It was like, we haven't seen him put back-to-back really competitive road starts in his career that are against really competitive good teams. And, that was a huge win they pulled off against 49ers. But, I mean, you talked about it. It was a little, I don't know if they really won that game so much as the 49ers might have lost that game.
Yes.
And, we were 5 minutes into this Green Bay game, and Kyler couldn't get anything going. They punted back to Green Bay, and they're already up 7-0. They come right down. score another 14, and then off from there. It was just a bad game altogether from the Cardinals team. I think Marvin Harris went out in the first quarter after a hit.
Yeah, he had a concussion.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was injury. So yeah, it just bad all around for them. On the flip side, Jordan Love, it took him a little bit to get going, but he looked really good in that game. Like a couple big time throws, really nice reads, using his eyes to move the safeties around to get his receivers open deep. And once LaFleur gets a team on their heels, he just schemes it up so well. So yeah, all around that was a fun game. Like we talk all the time, it's fun sometimes to bet on the chalk. That was fun. Our fear was, you bet 4.5. I bet a lot of money at 5. It got up to 5.5 in our contest, and it was just like, okay, is this going to come down and matter, this half a point? Clearly, we overreacted to that half point. It did not matter at all. Really happy we didn't take it out or even think about taking it out. It's just a week where, unfortunately, we didn't take all favorites, but we talked about how we got to force in some of these favorites, and luckily we did with this Green Bay team.
Yeah, the public was 8-3-1 today. This was the last one in, to be honest. And we loved this game because we believed Jordan Love and the Packers were undervalued after losing to the Vikings and then playing badly against the Rams on the road. We thought now 3 weeks return from his injury, playing at home against a soft defense, he would just be the better quarterback leading the better team. And he was, right? Like this offense gained 437 yards. It ran 70 plays. It had more than 6 yards per play. Jordan Love threw for nearly 260 and had 4 touchdowns. And the Cardinals did what we thought they would do. They just made a lot of mistakes. 3 fumbles lost. We should explain, we had a conversation this morning and we nearly pulled the Packers out. It's fair to say the Packers were our last team in. Explain from your point of view why we nearly pulled the Packers out, and also tell people we almost put in.
It was bad weather, honestly. I mean, I liked the under there, and it was 47.5. Got really lucky, landed right on 47. They only scored 3 points in the fourth quarter, and that's just classic bet the number, bet the spot. And yeah, that was the main concern, was the weather, honestly, in my opinion. It was just, we know how random weather can make these football games. And we saw with Arizona, right, with all those stupid fumbles. That's the scary part with bad weather. It's just you don't know which team's going to react better to it. Shocking to no one, the indoor team did not react well to it, right? And clearly Green Bay, they're used to playing in 40 degrees, shitty weather. So the team we thought about putting in with the Raiders, and, it was honestly, though, between them and the Chargers. And, your love for the Raiders was just a good sales by Sean Kerner.
Totally.
I think he got you with a good sales pitch. You fell in love with it, and I was just like, I can't do it. Even though it was a great number, it was Aiden O'Connell. I just couldn't get there with the kid, and I was just like, it's something's throwing me off because they're playing against the Pittsburgh defense. So like you just said, thank God we didn't do it, because it would be brutal sitting here at 1-3, knowing we switched out a Green Bay team to end up not even being a sweat.
We're going to talk about the Chargers after we get through our games. Houston at New England. If the Packers went exactly as we expected, this one didn't go anywhere near the way we expected. New England was kind of never in this game, except they were tantalizingly close to putting themselves in the game. And I want to give you some scenarios just from the second half, the very start of the second half. They're down 14-7 to start the second half. They get the ball. Actually, let me take it back further. Early in the game, they had been stopping the Texans in the red zone twice on third down, and both times they got called for pass interference penalties, and the Texans score on the very next play.
Yep.
So all of a sudden they're up 14-0. They got lucky with a Kaimi Fairbairn missed field goal. So now they scored.
That felt like, to me, that was the game. Those 2 third down calls, like both times too, the defense outplayed the offense and got off the field.
Yeah.
But those calls flipped it. Like you just said,
Yes.
It gave them 14 points, but it should have been 6. And like you said, once you're up 14 on Drake May, who now has to push the ball downfield, you're dead. Like you said, if we would have saw the game going that way in any way, we wouldn't have taken it. I put it on me because my whole problem with that game was it was his first start, Drake May, Chad. I said that to you. It's like we are backing this kid in his first start, and we've seen how much better these other rookies have played after their first start. It's just that first start is such a brutal game. Even when we talk a little bit about the Saints, and I told you I couldn't do it just because I already had money on Tampa, and I didn't want to be betting again on a rookie making his first start. Looked like the same with Drake May. He had a couple of really good plays, but overall, he's on a really bad team. It doesn't matter if he's making a couple plays here and there. It's like they need the bounces to go their way and the referees' calls to go their way. And we didn't get any of that. And then the nail in the coffin was Joe Mixon. Like we talked, that's what we were hoping for last week, him to be back with the Bills. You saw today, they're just a totally different team when he's on the field. He's that good for them, and he's that big of a difference maker in their run blocking scheme where he just knows how to be patient, pick his holes, and when he hits it so hard. He's just so much better than the other guys they've been running back there. Like you immediately saw a difference once he was on the field. So that's definitely as much as I want to be like, this was your whatever or Scooch Roulette pick. You love them. I love them too. We talked last Sunday. I bet them when they were +7. I thought it was a good number. Bad read, just a bad read overall. Being Drake May's first start, and I should have put more stock into Joe Mixon coming back for this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like we completely screwed this one up because we had the chance this morning. Like we were going through the games and we were really focused on Green Bay and Detroit. And at one point I said, are we sure we don't want to take out the Patriots, the Panthers, or the Jets? And we sort of felt like we liked all those games and we liked the spots for those teams. And here we sit. The favorites were the ones that were easy, and the dogs are the ones that lost the way they always lose. The Patriots they were down 14-7, got the opening kick in the second half. Drake May fumbles deep in his territory. Texans score a touchdown. Patriots down 24-7. They fumble on the first drive after going down 24-7 in their own territory, leads to a field goal. They're down 27-14 after they go down 27-14. First play of the next drive, throw a pick at their own 22. Like every time they came close to getting it in, they lost the way these teams lose, which is what you get when you're betting on these teams. But it occurs to me, and I will put this note down. We both love the Texans with Joe Mixon. It's been a reason why we felt they haven't been playing as well. And one of the reasons why we faded them. Why didn't either of us think to say, wait a second, he's back? We knew he was back at this point. He had been announced he was going to play. Why didn't we even mention that?
I mean, obvious answer is I had a decent amount of money already bet on it. The luck rankings loved it, which I put a lot of stake into.
Yeah,
and there's trends that pointed to taking this number. So if you would have just going back in time, be like, well, Joe Mixon is back this week, I would have said, who fucking cares? It's his first game back. Clearly would not have known he was going to come in and just wipe the floor with us. So yeah, you're right. It's like, I wish I could have thought about back, but again, it's not just, just the fading of the public for what we do sometimes. There's trends, there's what we're hearing the professionals are doing. And like we always say, if the luck rankings love a spot, it's always going to tilt us towards it.
Yeah.
So, and I think you picked it for your best bet on Convince Me this morning, didn't you?
I went with the Patriots.
That's what I mean. There's no way to avoid it. We were dead. Dead. It's just picking bad teams. You get caught every now and then.
It was a dead bet. It was a 100% dead bet. A great bet. Detroit at Dallas. We had Detroit -3.5. We handicapped this one perfectly.
Yeah.
Like our analysis was, this team is on the rise. They are still undervalued. The Cowboys are getting more credit than they deserve for beating a bad Steelers team that could not take advantage of offensively of Dallas miscues. We believe the Lions would be physically dominant, and they were in every aspect. To your credit, when we were discussing the lines this morning, I was so nervous about it being chalky. I did ask if we should take the Lions out because it was so public and we had a bad line. And we had been hearing noise all week about people liking the Cowboys, about professionals liking the Cowboys. And what you said to me was, chalk is due. Thank God. You were right. Chalk is 8-3-1 today, heading into the Sunday Night Football game. We need the Giants. We're going against the chalk tonight. We're going against the chalk tomorrow. But it was true today. The Lions were 100% the right side from the get-go. They were never nervous in this game.
I also never wavered on it. I mean, I loved it. I think we talked Sunday about it. I bet it early just in case. I said in case Dallas got blown out Sunday night. They didn't. We came in Tuesday's show. You believe me your exact decision. And I said to you,
Yes.
if you hadn't, I was going to make it Simon Says. And then on Thursday's show, I literally made it my Scooch Roulette pick.
You totally fucked me on that. Totally. You totally stole it from me because you had first choice. And I'm like, you fucker.
But that's my whole point of there was never a minute all week where I wasn't heavy betting this Detroit team. I bet them all along. And the scariest part was, why was the number not moving? And I tell you all the time, sometimes the books know they're fucked and they know if they move it too much, they'll get even more money on the other side. Because then people will be like, see, the professionals moved it. That is the right side. Now let's keep going heavier on Detroit. But even then, it was just a bad number. I talked to bookmakers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and all of them were saying it was 10 times the amount of money was on the lines, on the spread, on all their parlays, everything. And I was just like, man, you guys are really taking a stand here on a bad Dallas team. I just did not understand it. Thank God we hammered that one. We needed it to go 2-2. And like we always say, when you bet on these good quarterbacks, sometimes it's the best feeling in the world, because it's man, that was a no-doubter. They were just imposing their will the entire game. I think even the first drive, Dallas went down and kicked the field goal. And I just remember thinking, if Detroit goes down and scores a touchdown, me and Chad are good here. And not even that, they just literally ran it down their throat that first drive. And it's okay. Montgomery's humming. Once he gets going, they're going to get it going through the air. And that's what happened. I mean, they almost put up 50 points once again. So, what we talked about with Dallas, they're coming into this year. They're not that good of a team. Can't run the ball, can't stop the run. Detroit, we talked about them being my number 1 seed in the NFC. Every week, they just keep proving they're the best team right now. It's just when that offense is humming, I don't care what defense in the league can't stop them when it's indoors. So they're the team. Yeah, they're the team. If they get that 1 seed, it's gonna be crazy important. But I really can't wait to talk next week's games, because it's your division right now. Every divisional game is going to be amazing. All the teams in the NFC North are so good. I really can't wait to start getting these divisional matchups.
So look, the NFC North right now is 18-4 against the spread, entering week 7.
Wow.
It's the best ATS win percentage for any division through 6 weeks in the wild card era. That's
with a rookie, Sam Darnold, and second-year starter Jordan Love. That's pretty impressive.
And by the way, Jordan Love, who missed multiple games.
Yeah.
Right? And so, the Vikings are 5-0 ATS. The Bears are 5-1 ATS.
That's crazy.
Lions are 4-1. Packers are 4-2. Caleb Williams, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but
no, do your thing.
The guy accounted for 5 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
He was freaking flawless. 4 touchdown passes, a touchdown run. He's scrambling strategically on a beautifully designed play where it was reverse. He had to fake a reverse, fake a screen, hit Cole Kmet, streaking down the middle. The footwork was beautiful. The way he handled the fakes was perfect. I mean, this team was insanely good. Now, admittedly, they played bad teams, but you got to beat bad teams, and they're looking really good doing it right now, especially today. Here's the story out of this game. As much as it was about how terrible the Cowboys are and the Lions dominating on offensively, Aiden Hutchinson was the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He was leading the league in sacks. He was the guy we both bet at 14-1 to lead the league in sacks. This team has finally figured it out. what their identity is as a physically dominant team, dynamic athletically on both sides of the ball. He represents so much of who they are. He went out with a gruesome leg injury, had to be carted off. He knew it immediately on his second sack of the game. I don't know what happens now. Like how do how do you as a professional bettor handicap this? Because it does change their dynamic defensively.
It does. No, it's brutal. I mean, it's hard to put what it's going to mean to the model. I mean, maybe half a point, but I doubt that it'll move it that much, honestly. But we'll see. It could, but I would say for any fan, it just makes you not think. No, I shouldn't say it. It makes you think that maybe this team, come playoff time, won't go to the Super Bowl like a lot of people are picking them for, right? Because you know there's going to be moments where you need that guy. And we see it, like Nick Bosa in that Seahawks game. He took over, right? Once the team had to pass the ball, that's when these guys who are just such game changers take over. And how do you not suffer when you lose a top 5 pass rusher? It's like these guys are so rare, so unique. That's why they make so much money. You just can't replace something like that. So for me, I don't know. I probably doesn't do anything for me divisional wise. I'm just going to let my Lions bet keep riding for right now. But how does it not make you nervous knowing that in the playoffs it's going to matter? Like him not being there is going to matter in these really close games where every little snap is the difference, and he is the ultimate game changer for that defense in Detroit. So yeah, brutal for Detroit fans. Big loss.
What's interesting is there's been a conversation. I think I saw this maybe in ESPN.com this week uh, about the Lions trading for another another edge rusher. Hold on.
You're good. Yeah, I mean, they
Hold
could.
on.
Reddick's still out there too.
Reddick is out there, been dropped by his agency, has lost about 20 million bucks already.
I mean, I know
Trayvon
they're not
Walker.
making a big story about it, but what happened to him in Japan? The man went to Japan, skipped camp, and has not been the same since. Like,
So that's a
bizarre.
whole other story.
Bizarre.
It's totally bizarre. The fact he was shuttled out of Philly is kind of bizarre considering how well he was playing.
Well, he wanted new money, and how he was just like, okay, get him out of here before this comes into a problem. And I never thought it'd be like this, though. He's a good dude.
What I was going to say is that Trayvon Walker, who was the number 1 overall pick of the Jags, taken instead of Aiden Hutchinson, there was a mention in a story this past week that could the Lions trade for him as sort of the complimentary rusher if the Jags continue to fall out of contention? So who knows what the Lions are going to do, but certainly it's something that's going to be a conversation because this is a team I like. Going into this week, I felt like they were the number 1 team in the NFC. Like what they had done against Seattle and what I expected them to do against the Cowboys, most complete team, changes a little bit. So we've talked about it a little bit, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. But the conversation we had this morning, like we weren't loving the lines we were getting. They were about half point worse than the market. Ultimately, it didn't matter. You know, we nearly put the Raiders in and kicked out the Packers. We decided we were overthinking it. The one game we screwed up, I think, was the Chargers. Like it's similar to the Cardinals last week. We had the best number of any game. That was 2.5. We had great analysis on this team all week. We loved it. Do you think we passed because this was a game where while we loved it, we were hearing whispers from professionals that they liked the Broncos? Like, why did we end up walking away from this one?
It could be. You're right, though. We definitely did talk about it. I mean, we both betted. We thought, you know, this was a funky number all week. It was very telling by the sports books that this number was off and favoring this Chargers team, where us and the general public were like, well, this Broncos defense is playing really good. And Bo Nix has been playing well enough, not turning the ball over and keeping them in games. And, you know, the last time we saw this Chargers team, they were all banged up and all out of sorts, and especially Herbert. I mean, talk about night and day, right? That was a great Herbert game. He was in complete control the whole game. You know, Cowherd, I know Cowherd's crazy theory about just taking the better QB.
Yeah.
I hate that theory, but today he's a genius. Basically every game, the better quarterback
Totally.
won. Yeah.
That's totally true.
A good day for Cowherd and his betting, but like he was right talking about this game with that, where it's like one side has the better quarterback, and right now the best weapon is their offensive line. Like when those guys are all healthy up front, they completely neutralize the front seven of Denver, which is what's been Denver's strength. And Patrick Surtain, I believe, went out in the second quarter. I could be, maybe it was a third quarter, but
no, it was early.
You would think that's not big of a difference, but it is. He's that dominant, that shutdown of a corner that as soon as he did go out, you saw every third down when Herbert needed it. He had guys streaking open in the middle for various reasons. So yeah, that was a good number. A game I wish we had put in, but at the end of the day, I don't know. For me to convince you to put 3 favorites in, that would have been pretty tough. I think same for me. Like for you to be like, let's go 3 favorites this week.
We wouldn't have done it.
I know. We're just not built that way, unfortunately, which I hate. Like even today, again, that we both had bets, liked them all week on Detroit, and just because they were so public, for a second we thought about switching them out, which is like, again, I said it to you in the moment. It was just like, we're overthinking this right now. Don't switch any of these fucking guys out. Let's just keep these 5. And no matter what we would have done, I'm just so glad we didn't put that Raiders one in because that was just a bad bet, right? Yeah. So the Chargers one we did read right, but it was just tough to put a third favorite in.
I wish we had taken out Carolina. We had Carolina 5.5.
Yeah, that was
shame on us. Shame on the Panthers. The only thing I'll say is that there was a drive in the fourth quarter.
Panthers now 1-5 against the spread this season.
Yeah, this drive to start the fourth quarter epitomizes Carolina and why we didn't deserve to win. They're in the game the whole time. They're down 28-20 to start the fourth. They're playing against the worst rush defense in the league. They have Chuba Hubbard to start this quarter, runs the ball 4 times for 34 yards. Run. Running all over this team. Then they decide to get cute. They have Andy Dalton roll out, throws an incompletion. Next play, fake run. Andy Dalton throws a pick at the Falcons' 16-yard line. Next drive, the Falcons go 84 yards, score the put-away touchdown. And by the way, Algiers, he was running on one of the plays. First got gang tackled at the 22-yard line of the Falcons. Didn't go down until the 36. Like, we get what we deserve. I'm ashamed. We shouldn't have done it. We were so excited. We thought like, oh my God. I was like, I got the Panthers plus 6.5 today. Like, fuck me. That's just ridiculous. How did we not put the Colts in? We had the Colts at +3 and we knew Joe Flacco was playing, which if we knew Joe Flacco was playing on Tuesday and we had the Colts at +3, we would have taken that in 2 seconds.
Well, it was 2.5 contests, but I agree. Like we talked about it on Convince Me. We're like, oh my God, Joe Flacco's in. He's getting 2.5 against Will Levis. But no, the Panthers, I don't want to talk about too much because I just know our fans have already turned the show off as soon as we brought them up. I'm sorry, everyone. I promise. I don't even care if they win 5 straight in a row. We will never have them again.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some Week 7 lines.
Thank God.
That we're looking at. Like, obviously, KC is -1 at San Francisco right now. Every part of my being wants to take San Francisco.
The Chiefs and Bet365 are +1.
Really? So it's moved. It's moved
that?
then. It's moved since I came upstairs to my very expansive 3rd floor studio, the Tommy John studio.
There you go.
So, wow, that's interesting. That is so. All right, give me your hot take right now. It's not a game that like I was pegging. We have to bet it, but I didn't want to not talk about it.
I mean, we're supposed to take the Chiefs.
I know,
but I don't got to read on this one. I'll let the number dictate it. Where it's like, if it moves up to Chiefs being a bigger dog, no brainer. If the 49ers end up becoming the dog, maybe I'll end up being on the 49ers. But I just like the dog in this side. It's just in my mind, this number should be -1.5 Chiefs. Like I think they're the better team right now. I think the value's on the Chiefs. So I'll take the 1 right now. But it's like if this is 1.5, you got to find a partner for a teaser. Teasing the Chiefs up to 7.5 against this 49ers team is like a gift. we talked about last week. They're just the 49ers are not the same team without Christian McCaffrey. And
Yep.
it's apparent that you're putting a lot onto Brock Purdy's shoulder. Now he's going up against a Spags defense that, they're going to turn you over if you're throwing the ball a lot. It's just only a matter of time. He'll get you eventually. So, yeah, I definitely think if the Chiefs keep becoming a bigger dog, this will end up being one of our 5.
Green Bay is a 2.5-point home favorite against Houston. My immediate instinct is I like Green Bay less than a field goal.
Wow. I like Houston, so we're split.
Interesting. All right. Well, give me your take.
My take is I think the public will think like you, and maybe you're right. This is a good time to take it now because I do think he'll go up a little bit.
That's what I think.
So I think maybe I'll be able to get a better number on Houston, but yeah, that's a fun game. You're probably right. I bet you the Packers probably is the smart side to take right now, just because it is under 3. But I think this is just a nice matchup for a Houston team that, say what you want about them. When CJ is in rhythm and that defense is getting pressure from the outside, they're just really hard to beat Houston. There's a reason they have only lost 1 game this year.
CJ on the road. The Packers are a better team than the Patriots. Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Drake May. We don't know from a defensive back point of view who's going to be back for Houston. A lot of guys missed today. It didn't matter as much against the Patriots, but Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Gerard Mayo. Like, this is a very interesting game. I think you're getting it will be very interesting on Tuesday when we talk to see where the money is and how the line is moved, because I think Houston's the public side here.
That's fair. I'm torn on this one.
Detroit, Minnesota. We just talked about like this division against the spread.
And what we have to do.
What's that?
I said, what we have to do.
Tell me.
We have to fade the Vikings. They've covered every week.
Yeah, Detroit's a 1-point underdog. I was worried you were going to say take the Vikings.
Well, we're supposed to, because it's like everyone and their grandmom's going to bet this Detroit team as a dog here. But it's like we're indoors. Everything the Vikings do well, Detroit can combat that with their run. Like, you can't do that style of defense against a good team, a team that can run the ball. And I guess it's a letdown spot for the Lions after that big win on the road and a big injury to one of their best defenders. And Minnesota coming off a bye week here. But what a fishy number, because Chad's right. Like, we should want to take the Vikings. The book's telling us to take the Vikings here, but it's hard to me to back a Vikings team that's just so inflated right now value-wise, just because they've covered every fucking week. It's mental. So
5-0.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. So yeah, my gut instinct right now is I'm gonna throw a nice teaser with Detroit Lions 7.5 and the Chiefs up to 7 right now. Like, that's just an easy bet to make tonight. And books are gonna limit to $1,000 right now. I'm happy to make $1,000 teaser. It's like that. Both those guys as big dogs against these 2 favorites. I don't know. And we talked about this week. Road teams have been doing well, even today, right? Road teams really dominated the day.
Yeah.
Home field really, it's we talked about it last year. Like, home field was down to 2.5 too. I mean, it's right there still. So I don't know. This line feels like it's a little too much respect to this Minnesota team, especially at -1.5 on Bet365.
I do wonder if the books are positioning this as they know that the public might come in on the Vikings, not just because of how the Vikings have played.
The Lions have to be the public side, right?
I don't know, because of Aiden Hutchinson. Like, people will.
You're right.
People will look at this and think this team is going to feel devastated. He is a very popular player, right? Like, he is a guy who people loved when he was at Michigan. They love the narrative. They love how dominant he has been. Like, he's in commercials. You don't get a lot of defensive ends other than guys named Watt who are in commercials, right?
Right.
So I think all that is going to have an impact on how the public looks at this team, and him being gone, I think, is going to send people to Minnesota, especially with them being as good as they've been, uh, and getting so much attention. So that'll be another one. It'll be really interesting to see how things are trending 48 hours from now. I had two more games, kind of, but one more specifically.
Yeah,
It's a Sunday night game. It's Tampa Bay as a 4.5
that's
point.
Monday night. There's two Monday night games.
Oh, it's two Monday nights. Tampa Bay plus 4.5 at home against Baltimore. This Baltimore team is really good. They've still got so many issues defensively
100%.
in the middle of the
Yeah,
field.
their
Like
32-year-old coordinator is not getting the job done right now.
they
I think they need to make a change in DC.
they cannot stop anybody. Like that, what Jaden Daniels was doing to them. This is someone who had the under and feels like he got kicked in the dick because they basically had the under. It was 30-20, and
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels threw a Hail Mary 35 yards downfield that the Ravens got called for a pass interference. They're down 10. They kick the easy field goal. It's 30-23. That's where it lands. I lose the over. I lose the under, and it was only as close as it was because they couldn't stop him ever.
Yeah, and I mean, Baker, we're not giving him enough credit about how well he's played this year. And in
No,
that Saints game, everything was going wrong. Mike Evans was hurt. I think he had 3 picks. Maybe it was only 2. It felt like 3. And he still found a way to win that game by double digits.
yeah,
Like, it was really impressive because they had a total meltdown. What were they up? 17-0.
yeah.
And the Saints come all the way back. They're up 20-17.
They were winning. They like a few times they were up.
Yeah. And, you know, a guy I love today was Godwin. He went off. I think he had 125 yards and 2
You nailed
touchdowns.
that
That's
on
like,
Convince Me. That was your over on the prop today.
yeah, and it was my biggest bet by the props where it's like Godwin and Mike Evans, that combo are just so dominant right now. And with Baker, you know, being in total zone, they're always going to be in these games. Like it feels like they're always going to be able to, even if they're down double digits, they can find a way to get back in these games and stay scrappy. Now, we talk about their defense. I think the key to this defense is definitely them against the run. Like they can be passed on. So this is gonna be another matchup of I think the team's gonna try and make Lamar beat them. And you know, Lamar, probably the MVP right now of football, he stepped up to the plate throwing this year. I mean, he has done really well passing the ball. So I would grab the 4.5. I could see this being going down to 4, 3.5 by kickoff. It's just even if the public's really heavy on this Baltimore team, I can see the professionals coming in on this Buccaneers team, especially 4.5. That's just too many points to me. So I
Too
would
many
grab
points.
that right now.
Who am I missing?
Just for games that jumped out to me that I haven't bet it, or I shouldn't say I haven't bet. I did bet it, but it's like very small. I took the Rams 5.5 against Vegas, just in case it is Aiden O'Connell. I can see keep going up. They just look totally hopeless, and this has got to be it for this Rams team. I mean, they don't get any more desperate after their bye week. Cooper Kupp's supposed to be back. We'll see if Puka's back. Unlikely, but you know that right there can move this up to a point, right? Move it up to 6.5 if both those guys are back. So that's just a number I'm grabbing early in case they are fully healthy offensively coming out of this bye week. And I mean, a game, you know, that just jumps out to me just to grab it right now is Atlanta's -2.5 right now against Seattle at home. Don't we have to grab that Atlanta at home under 3 against the
I only
Seattle
saw it at
defense?
3, so that's why
Yeah,
I didn't mention it.
yeah, it's 2.5 right now at B3. It's -120, but
Okay.
like to me, that's something I'm going to bet right now, just because Seattle's defense needs to show me they can get stops. Like every game we've watched of them, when they've played offenses that aren't dumb, they can move the ball any way they want. And say what you want about Atlanta's defense, their offense is really good right now. Like Kirk, even if he's not even
Yeah.
putting any pressure on his back leg still on that Achilles, it doesn't matter. Like he's in total rhythm. He doesn't need to throw the ball all the way downfield. He can just keep picking you apart in between 20, 30 yards. And it's just been working with the 1-2 punch on the run game right now for Atlanta. So I make this number 3.5. I'd grab it right now if you could still get the -2.5 for Atlanta.
All right. We're going to take a deeper dive at Detroit, and with Detroit and Minnesota, we want to see how things play out there. Obviously, Kansas City and San Francisco. Early leans on Tampa Bay +4.5. The Rams -5.5. Atlanta -2.5. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now new Bet365 customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code favorites. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Catch our next episode live Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel. We'll cover the whole Week 7 board, announce our Week 6 contest winner. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until Tuesday, love you.